All right. Hello, bonjour. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ivek Chapuis, Business Advisor at the World Trade Center, Winnipeg. I would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that this webinar is coming to you from the Treaty 1 territory, traditional territory of Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and the Dene people, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Thank you for joining Do More with Less Exploring Automation and AI in Microsoft 365, which will be presented by Ryan Bialek. A few housekeeping information before we start. Please send all webinar questions directly through the chat box at the top of your screen, and Ryan and Kyle will try to do their best to answer as many questions during the Q&A session toward the end of the webinar. For all logistical questions, please send directly to the chat box and I will answer your question as soon as possible. You will also receive the recording of the presentation within the next week. So it is time to start the webinar. I would like to introduce you to Ryan. Ryan has been enthusiastic about technology, but he never thought he would build a career from his love of computer. Today, Ryan is recognized advocate for the Microsoft Cloud, using his passion to help organization digitally transform. Ryan has spent the last 4 years at Clear Concept, leading a modern workplace practice that has assisted hundreds of organizations realize their full potential of Microsoft 365. All right, Ryan, if you want to kick it off, let's start this webinar.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, Eric. Thank you to the team at World Trade Center Winnipeg, and thank you. Thank you for your time. We've got promises to be an action-packed hour. I've got to blast through it, and as mentioned, one of my colleagues from Clear Concepts, Kyle Braun, is joining in the chat. Again, I'm going to keep my eye on the prize, which is delivering some great content here, and Kyle's available for any questions, whether it's on Clear Concepts, what we do, whether it's on any of the AI topics we're going to cover, and any of the automation topics that we're going to cover as well. So just a bit of background on Clear Concepts. If you've never heard our name before, we are an all-inclusive managed IT provider here in Winnipeg, a growing team that's currently sitting around 55 technical professionals. What you're going to see today is, yes, a lot of focus on Microsoft. That is one of our most important partnerships, and a lot of our solutions are built on top of Microsoft technologies. And really core to our growth over the last few years is helping organizations focus in on Microsoft 365, getting organizations to the cloud, and then really leveraging these types of tools. What's entered the lexicon in the last couple of years, at least, is AI, and you're going to see just how that is impacting how we go and help clients and how our clients are operating. The funny thing about this presentation is I've had to redo it 2 or 3 times based on just the pace of change in the AI world. It seems like minutes are hours and hours are days when it comes to the state of AI news. So we'll break into that for a few minutes. We'll also spend some time looking at why AI is so important. What is the justification for all of the hype and the buzz that's out there? About halfway through our hour together, we're going to switch gears from AI to automation, just sort of see how those two technologies blend together. I have some demos. I have some demos where you'll be able to follow along afterwards, even if you have the recording. And then we'll tie it all up, and I'll give you some tips and tricks for approaching automation and AI together. And again, Q&A, keep coming throughout the hour in the chat, but we'll keep some time towards the end. I hope we'll have some time for other questions. So that all said, let's just start off with AI, just an AI primer. Again, if you've been following this, AI is even hitting the local news. It feels like there's a lot of buzz around it. There's certainly some days it feels like an episode of Days of Our Lives with the drama of people getting fired and coming back and getting fired again and coming back again. But all of that sort of drama aside and all of that hype aside, AI is sort of a bunch of technologies put together with scale and with speed that mimic human intelligence. Machine learning, let's call it a subset of AI. Even generative AI, let's call that a subset of AI. But these technologies really have come together in the last few years around generative AI specifically our ability to talk to and converse with these technologies. So AI, again, it's been around. It's been around for a while. Even some of the examples I'll show you today of where AI is surfacing inside of Microsoft 365, those tools have been there for a while. It's just a great opportunity to shed a light on those now. And again, news cycles, whether it's online news, print news, the local news, business news, it seems that you can't go too far without hearing an AI related story. Again, whether it's an Elon Musk story or a ChatGPT article, there is a lot of conversation. And there absolutely is a lot of hype around generative AI. But our advice really over the last little while is to sort of look at the two extremes of the hype cycle, the overly positive hype and the overly negative hype. Let's focus on what's in the middle. And again, that happens to be centered around generative AI technologies, these tools that have human-like intelligence and scale and speed that we just haven't seen out of technology tools in quite some time. Generative AI specifically, these are the tools that are making things for us. They're generating something new for us. What's very cool here is that they're generating new content based on existing information, data, and content that's out there feeding these models. And again, to underscore probably the biggest and most important advancement in generative AI is our ability to talk to these tools in natural language. I think we've got some demos of that a little later. So think of generative AI like a colleague, like a coworker, like an employee that you can, reach over the cubicle wall and speak with in a natural way and get some generated content back in return. And again, generative AI, and we'll double click on this in a second. These tools are trained and calibrated by human beings. So we do have that reassurance that these are not angry robots. It's not the end of the world. It's not that Terminator era where these things are going to rise up against us. If anybody's been listening to me to be speaking in the last 2 months, everybody should know that this is a Ford Explorer. I have one just like it. And you may be wondering, Brian, we came here to learn about AI and automation, not your car. But there's a really, really cool feature in my car. This is one of those self-parking cars. And the analogy that I love to draw about my car and AI is, yes, my car can park itself. I can take my hands off the steering wheel and let the computer, let the electronics take control to do a job, to park the vehicle, but my foot is on the brake along the way. And that's just a really good mindset to sort of carry along with you. If you're curious about AI, if you're concerned about sort of the rise of AI lately, is humans, we still have our uh, foot on the brake, so to speak. So we are still in control. And keeping that in mind, again, let's go back to the hype cycle. Let's consider that we are in Winnipeg and we are a very practical bunch. Is balancing all of that potential, balancing all of that positive hype that you seem to not be able to get too far from, balancing that out with the actual practicality, affordability, and use cases within a small and medium-sized business. So it's a little bit of a tricky game. Again, based on what we're hearing, um, positive hype, scary hype, and balancing that out with how we can use these tools in our business. So some low-hanging opportunities. We've been talking over the last couple of months using AI, whether it's in Microsoft 365 or not, to bolster productivity. And really, that's sort of step one to getting your business to that AI future is just deploying for productivity. And a great example on screen now here is a feature in Microsoft Teams Premium called AI Recap. And this is just inviting a tool to your meetings. When they're on Teams, when they're virtual, it works the best. And it's just like having a colleague taking notes. So as long as you record and transcribe your Teams meetings, as long as you're licensed for this product, you will get AI generated recap notes. You'll get AI generated at mentions when someone says a colleague's name. And I think the best feature out of this particular tool is the suggested tasks. And it's very, very clever, and it's very, very precise. So if you promise your colleagues to have that report filed by Friday, it's going to pick that up as a suggested task for you. If Danielle is going to follow up on future enhancement prioritizations, again, rest assured that even if you're zoning in and out to the meeting, or you're working with people in a room or outside of a room, again, you don't have that pressure to take exact perfect notes. You can relax a little bit and let the AI help you out. Again, help you be a little bit more productive. So that's Teams Premium, and specifically the feature is AI Recap. If you are on Microsoft Shop, you may want to check that out. It is around, I think, $11 per user per month, and you do not need to license everybody in your org. You can just license the most meeting-focused individuals. Okay. Here's one that is free. Here's something that is included in Microsoft 365. It's sort of a new entrant. You may see this in your office.com menu. It is an application called Microsoft Designer. And this is just like Canva. Adobe has a number of tools around this where you can, again, talk to artwork, provide a prompt, provide a description of what you'd like the system to create for you, and it'll do some simple graphic design. It'll do some simple document layout for you. It will remove backgrounds from photos. It will blur backgrounds in photos, as well as create 3D rendered graphics. Again, it's brilliant. It's brilliant for sort of busting creative block if you're trying to get a concept put together, something that you want to include in a PowerPoint presentation, or just inspire your teams internally. Again, this is a free tool that's out there from Microsoft. Okay. Another one that you may or may not be aware of is included in your Microsoft 365 subscription, all the way from Business Basic all the way up to Business Premium, is Microsoft Power Automate. And we're going to come back to this in a few short minutes, because this is a great way to automate those daily tasks. All of the things with your documents, your emails, your communications, that's all sitting inside the world of Microsoft 365. And whether you want to start exploring automating those tasks and processes yourself as sort of a citizen developer, or if you work with a partner like Clear Concepts, Power Automate is our gateway. That is our toolbox to make that automation happen. That all said, you can see the example on screen here now is Microsoft has updated Power Automate for us to include a Copilot experience, where again, in natural language, just as if we were, popping our head into the IT department's doorway and asking them, I want to do something with my email when an invoice arrives. I want to start and wait for an approval process. You can see how just by communicating or prompting here with this text box, Power Automate is going to suggest the building blocks for a workflow for us. Okay, so it's getting a whole lot easier to be that citizen developer, be that citizen automator, start to save yourself some time with those repetitive processes. And again, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into automation very, very soon. And again, if you're paying attention to all of this AI news, again, if you've got your eyes on the Microsoft Prize, you're probably hearing this term Copilot over and over and over again. Microsoft is sort of using this as a branding. A number of other organizations are using Copilot as a way to sort of encapsulate particular AI features, and in particular generative AI features. So you may hear these sort of small point solutions embedded in other applications, or standalone applications by themselves, referred to as copilots. And I absolutely love that sort of nomenclature. I love that idea of a copilot's there to help you out, never really fully takes control. So I do love that analogy. I'm going to run a short video here. There's no audio. I'm just going to talk through it. So don't worry, your speakers aren't busted. This is a coming product. This is out there in the world today for Microsoft's enterprise customers, but this is coming to the SMB space quite soon. And this is Microsoft 365 Copilot. So you'll see, as we explore generating output in Word, writing emails for us, creating PowerPoint slides based on information Microsoft 365 knows about us, conversations we're having in Teams, documents we're storing in our OneDrive and SharePoint and Teams channels as well. You can see how that becomes the source and the model for all of these generative AI tools. Now, rest assured you, I did not use Copilot to make this PowerPoint. I still take a lot of pride in making my own PowerPoint decks. So here's Excel. Again, we spend so much time in these applications. Wouldn't it be great to have a sidekick or a Copilot along the way? Whether it's summarizing, drafting, creating new ideas, like I say, busting writer's block, busting that creative block that we all run into day in and day out. This won't replace us. This won't take our jobs away. This is certainly going to make our jobs a whole lot easier and a whole lot more productive. And again, that's Microsoft 365 Copilot out there in the world for Microsoft's largest customers, coming soon for us in the SMB market. Another Copilot that you may have run into, if you're a fan of ChatGPT and you're using some of those solutions, there's a number of open source solutions out there on the internet as well. This being a session sort of grounded in Microsoft 365 and the value you get from that subscription, I want to share, and this is one where I had to change the slide about 18 times in the last 2 days because Microsoft keeps changing these product names. This used to be Bing Chat Enterprise, and it used to be built into, if you use the Edge browser. If you don't, that's okay. You can go to copilot.microsoft.com, or you can go to bing.com/chat to check out these products. The key here is the top right-hand corner of this screen where it says protected. And lower down, right above the chat box, you can see that your personal and company data are protected in this chat. And this is just my subtle plug for using your work account, using your Microsoft 365 subscription to get some additional data privacy and security value when you want to use a product like Copilot here, like Bing Chat Enterprise. So this is a tool, this is a Swiss Army knife of AI tools. As you see, it's your everyday AI companion. So it can help you write. It can help you write all sorts of different formats, whether it's blog posts or summaries, short bulleted lists if you're just looking for inspiration. But you can see across the 6 sort of graphics here, you can use this tool to compare documents. You can use it for comparing items online. You can analyze. You can summarize. If you have a PDF open in the Edge browser or an entire website open in a tab in your Edge browser, it will summarize whatever is on your screen for you. And sure, it can tell you jokes and it can give you some ideas of how to research things. It can even help you code or create graphics, just like Microsoft Designer. And that's why I say this really is a Swiss Army knife of AI tools, but it truly comes alive when you sign in with your work account so that you can rest assured if you are putting in work information, work data, maybe it's proprietary, maybe it's some company data, you can rest assured that nobody at Microsoft has eyes on access to it. And most importantly, anything you share with Copilot or Bing Chat Enterprise does not go back to feed a larger AI model of some sorts at Microsoft. So again, if you're using an AI tool and it's free, check the terms of use, see what they're doing with your data. If you're using a product from the big players like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, etc., again, make sure you have that capability to sign in, identify yourself that you are using this at work and leveraging the tool that way. So I see some questions coming in, Krista. My colleague Kyle's going to get to your question there, and I'm just going to keep on trucking because we have to talk about why AI. Why is this so important? And the answer here is actually in the slide. It's about time. I know this is a virtual venue, a digital venue. I can't see your hands, but you can raise your hands in the Teams meeting if you'd like. Who's busier than they've ever been? It seems like we're all carrying larger workloads than before. We're all taxed. We're all doing our best to balance all of the different projects, all of the different responsibilities at work, plus home life. We are a busy bunch of folks in small business, in enterprise, solopreneurs. There is a lot to go around. We also know that onboarding, upskilling, hiring new people, training, those things all take time and a lot of money as well to get other staff up to speed on a process or on a particular procedure in your business. Not to mention all of the pressures that come from our competition and all of the pressures that come from getting to market with our products and services faster and being able to scale our products and services. Uh, it feels like at light speed. That's just the expectation of the market these days. So all of this put together, again, we really have to perform at a high clip, and time is now such a precious commodity. So AI can help us there, and automation as well can help us there. A lot of these tools now have been out in the market, Copilots and Teams Premium and the like, have been out in the market for several months. And I sourced a great Microsoft survey where they're starting to ask users about their experiences with these products. And so, for example, there's one particular Microsoft survey, 68% improved quality of work. So again, if I was to create a rough draft of a report, the generative AI version is going to have higher quality. People were also mentioning that they're around 30% faster at tasks that get linked together. So again, I think if we're researching, if we're trying to do some market research, we go through phases of searching, writing, and summarizing. That gets a whole bunch faster by using these AI tools. 4 times quicker meeting recovery. Again, I showed you Teams Premium briefly and the AI meeting recap. Again, as I mentioned, people sort of flutter in and out of meetings. Our attention's being pulled in all sorts of different directions. So if you're not in the zone in your meeting, taking those detailed notes virtually or physically on a notepad, using AI assisted tools means you can review, recap, summarize that meeting, and get on from a meeting a whole lot quicker. And sort of the most interesting statistic I found in that survey from Microsoft was over 3/4 of the folks, of the respondents said, you cannot take my Copilot away from me. Now that I have it, now that I've been using it, you get a sense of the productivity gains. 77% don't want to give up their Copilot. Myself, as evidence, when Bing Chat first came out in the browser, I used it a few times a week. In the last couple of months, started to get it to a few times a day. And again, now I feel like it's an indispensable part of my digital toolbox as I am not just creating, but working with colleagues, working with vendors and partners and customers. It's really helped me out. Yeah. Um, Shifting gears, and folks, we're right on time. We are going to have some time for demos and Q&A. Shifting gears and incorporating now automation. And I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. Is this the guts of this presentation started out as way heavier with the automation theme than the AI theme. But again, you can see how times are changing, and I did feel the need to balance those two things out. So let's turn the lights on automation. We're going to talk, you're going to hear me use two acronyms going forward, and two schools of thought on my team around automation. And there's the thought around business process automation. That is sort of the theoretical side of things, is how can we make business processes flow a whole lot more easily and hopefully digitally. And then robotic process automation, RPA, this is more of the practice. This is more of the hands-on, again, the toolbox that we have at our disposal to make our lives a little bit more easy. So when we talk about automation at Clear Concepts, we're talking about software bots. We're talking about software workflows that emulate end user actions, whether that's interacting with data and applications, interpreting data, reviewing, parsing, and moving things around, even taking control of your screen. I know that sounds sort of sci-fi, but running a macro of movements, of keystrokes, and the like to control some of the legacy applications that we have that can't be automated otherwise. So we are not into, let's say, building automation or manufacturing automation. We're strictly here talking about the software automation side and working with your digital assets. And again, as a bonus, when we put AI and automation together, now we're bringing a whole new cognitive playground of capabilities and opportunities to, again, take processes that us and our colleagues have to do and replacing that with bots. So these software bots or these software workflows are great for routines, things that happen over and over and over again, even with some variability, as long as they happen over and over and over again, bots are great. Bots love rules-based or rule-based operations. If there's some logic or some conditions, bots love that. And again, it's very, very easy for us to automate and build out those processes. And again, when there's structure around them, when there's workflows that branch or break or repeat, parallel processing workflows, again, we've got the toolbox here to make that happen. I think probably goes without saying when you think about automation, the benefits are um, less humans are better. I love humans, don't get me wrong, but we often make mistakes. We key in things that we don't need to key in. Sometimes we don't carry the one, and that can really throw things for a loop. Automation and bots are going to run without fail, without typos, without second guesses. They're following a recipe. Okay. If you've got paper-based processes or manual processes, these are, it's Winnipeg, so I have to mention potholes at least once or twice. These are our business process potholes. Rekeying something from paper, scanning and changing and moving and carrying file folders around. Again, there's a much smoother and faster way to do that with automation. And again, goes without saying, the less humans involved, we have sharper costs. We can leave the mundane work to our bots and our workflows and ensure that the humans, our colleagues, are working on building relationships, being empathetic with our customers, our students, our patients, our colleagues, and the like. That's the stuff that we're really good at as humans. And I like to think of automation as a compounding interest of the AI era. We start with a lot of organizations that are pretty shy to automate and a little worried and a little bit nervous. But we'll break our approach out in a few slides from now as I have some demos. I'll show you just how easy it is to get started. And our formula really is with both AI and business process automation, just make the first small step and kind of watch it compound, watch it snowball from there. And it's very, very rewarding as a partner to watch that happen in a small and medium-sized business. Before we demo, though, let's talk priorities. Where are the appropriate places to start for automation? And again, paper. If you've got paper and clipboards, if you've got forms that whether your customers, external collaborators need to fill out to work with your organization, there's a big target right there. If you have forms for checklists and those types of internal processes, again, any type of quality control where there's paper and clipboards and something gets put in a filing cabinet for years and years, let's hone in on those. Great opportunities to leverage process automation. Approvals. We all have likely done an expense submission, parking reimbursement, office expenses, travel expenses, time off approvals, anything where a yes or no decision needs to be rendered, we can bring some tools to bear to make that a heck of a lot easier. And the third bullet here goes without saying. Again, show of hands, and I'm not expecting any hands here. Who wants more email? Who loves email so much that every time your staff needs a time off, a day off for sick or for family, anytime a decision needs to be rendered, do we want to do that in email? Probably not. Our inboxes are just fine as they are. Again, opportunities for you to use automation where there is data double entry, where you are taking information from paper and putting it into a digital Excel or a list or a database, a CRM, anything of that sort. Again, when there is that case for double entry, let's automate that. If you have two systems that are not integrated, and integrating seems a very expensive or complicated process. Let's look at automating. How can we get something out of one source and put into another? Double entry is a very, very expensive problem. Collecting data from external sources, again, our system may not talk to our customers, vendors, partners' systems. We may just not be able to accomplish that. So how can we use automation to get around that roadblock? And again, routine procedures that are scheduled, things that need to happen on time, at a time, over and over and over again. Again, it's great to put those things in our calendar and do the best to remember them. But if you can schedule them in a calendar, you're just a few steps away from automating it and having those things run on time over and over again. Out of sight, out of mind, absolutely. If it's automated, you can trust that it's going to happen. But I know what you're thinking. Perhaps, Ryan, hang on. This sounds really expensive. What are you getting us into here with all of this automation talk? And I really have some good news because the tools that you need to get started, as I've mentioned, are for the most part, one or two very small exceptions, they're already included in your Microsoft 365 subscription. Even at the lowest end, even if you're just on business basic, even if you just got the cloud goodies and the web version of Office, you've got a great head start with the tools that are bundled into 365. And I'll show you those in a few minutes. If you're up on business premium all the way into the enterprise plans, again, you've got the same tooling, just with a few different perks here and there. And there are some products and there are some scenarios where I do have to be the bad guy and say Microsoft requires a premium license or a slightly different connector requires a premium license. But again, the costs associated with those are not typically roadblocks or deal breakers. It's just one of those potholes. The great thing about these tools that are included in 365, again, is you can learn how to do it yourself, or I'll show you how to use a Copilot to help teach you along the way. Microsoft bills some of these products as low code or no code, geared at the citizen developer. That's you or me. That doesn't spend all day doing automation and workflows and chatbots, but you at least want to get started with some of those low-hanging opportunities. You can, if you wish, work with an experienced partner, your IT provider today, your IT department, or a partner like Clear Concepts can help you, I would say, on the last mile of some of these applications where we have a team of Power Automate experts. They make workflows all day long. If you're stuck or you need help or you just want to outsource the experience, we can do that. And AI is one where people are really wondering about the costs. This sounds really expensive, Ryan. And the good news about the scale and the good news about the opportunity and future of AI is that the cost of cognition is falling all the time. It's almost like Moore's law, where things are getting faster, better, cheaper as time rolls on. And again, minutes feels like hours, hours feel like days in the world of AI. So I do imagine a future not too distant from now where the cost of these tools will be approachable by even the smallest of businesses and solopreneurs. And one of the other subtle plugs here, something that we help our customers do, particularly when putting in business process automation and system integration and AI work, is what other stuff can we get rid of? What other licenses can we get rid of? Again, if you're connecting and automating a process to put information into a CRM database, do you need to license everybody? at your organization for that likely very expensive CRM license, or another line of business application. If we're integrated with it directly and automating with it directly, do we then need to license every user for even the smallest of administrative functions? That said, let's move to some demos now, or some product highlights. So bear with me here as I bring up my browser, and we're going to do this. We're going to do this 3 steps at a time. We're going to start crawling with AI and automation. Then we're going to get up and we're going to start walking a little bit, and then we'll improve our pace to be sort of full out running with some of these tools. So on the screen right now is just a browser version of Microsoft Teams. And there is inside of Teams the idea of extending the app with apps. Thank you, Microsoft, for that. But if you've never explored the apps menu, or if you've never clicked on the 3 dots ellipsis here, it does expose all of these other extensions or apps within Microsoft Teams. And one of those is approvals. And I'm just going to start here because this is so simple and so easy to get yourself set up for an automated process and getting something out of your email inbox. And this is just all of those typical type of approvals. So I'm just going to go down here at the bottom. I'm going to follow along my gigantic mouse cursor here. I'm just going to go to create or manage templates, get rid of some of this nagware. And you can see what Microsoft gives us is a whole bunch of different templates around common approvals. We have an approval process for leaves and time offs. We have an approval process around business trips. Maybe you're hybrid working and managers want to know where their staff is. We want a work from home type of process. Process to use the company car and submit mileage, those different types of things. And you can have all sorts of different templates based on all sorts of different teams. You don't have to worry about exposing a template to a group that doesn't need to see it. And you can see that there's way more templates here that Microsoft lets us either use flat out or use as inspiration. So let's take this reimbursement. Again, expenses. Show of hands, where I'm not expecting any hands. Who loves doing expenses at the end of the month or the end of the week? Nobody. So here is the template. Again, it's got some different questions out of the box. You can use those, absolutely. We're going to deploy this to our Western sales team. And you have that opportunity to now start customizing this. Change the icon if you want. Cool. Change the color if you want. Give some background and description of this. Again, an opportunity to change the form, change the questions, change the categories and responses. Whether you've used Microsoft Forms before or not, this is your first blush at it. Look, you don't need to write a line of code. You don't need to be a developer or a programmer to get this solution put out. Do you want to take a file attachment for the receipts? Bonus, instead of dealing with all of that paper. Do we want to have an approver option? You know, we can add up to 10 levels of approvals here. It goes from employee to manager to director to VP of finance, whatever that has to happen. And do you want to allow commenting on those rejections or those approvals? So we'll take a look at our preview here. We'll go ahead and publish that. And again, within a matter of minutes, sped up slightly here for the sake of this demonstration, but you can spend 10, 20, maybe 30 minutes, take a look at your reimbursement process, add on the customizations that make this really sing for your team or for your department, and again, publish this through Microsoft Teams. So now that West sales team can go and start submitting their receipts for reimbursement. And again, it's all digital. It's not landing in anybody's inboxes. All of the activity and notifications is going to happen in Teams. All of this information is stored digitally. We can keep it for as long as we need to for compliance purposes. And then when an expense is approved and ready to be paid, the finance team will receive that notification and go and issue that payment or cut that check. Okay. So approvals is a great place, again, just to get your appetite whet for automation. This is true business process automation. Maybe not necessarily like what I'm about to show you, but such a great way to get started, get a feel for it, play around with it. You're not going to break anything. You're not going to crash any servers with any of this stuff. My advice is to go and play, go and experiment. When you've got a handle for approvals in Microsoft Teams, you want to kick it up a notch. Let's continue in our sort of walking or sort of our crawling sort of mantra here is let's take a look at Power Automate. You can get to Power Automate from office.com and going in to see all of your apps. But there's two pieces here that I want to highlight. Number one is the templates that Microsoft gives us. And this should give you a good idea of the types of activity that you can automate out of the box with Power Automate. So let's run a sentiment analysis on tweets from Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it this week. Notify an email when something new is uploaded to your OneDrive. Maybe you're sharing a folder with collaborators. There's all these sorts of categories here at the top. Let's take a look at data collection because that's another great opportunity, but create a task in Planner when something comes in from a form, and maybe that's a fillable form that you send out to clients or patients or students and the like. Maybe we want to do form processing, send emails, and put information in SharePoint. Extract entities of received emails using AI Builder. I'll show you that in a few minutes. Even simple things like creating SharePoint sites, putting items in your calendar, moving things and filing things for you, turning documents into PDF files and sending them out. And again, all the way up to scheduled automations that run at a set date and a set time. The tools here, the Lego bin of building blocks, if you will, is all of these pieces in Power Automate. Okay. And again, this is even the tool on the slightly more upscale business process automation services that we offer at Clear Concepts. We still use Power Automate. In some cases, we will supplement with code or custom design, but for the most part, we're using the building blocks and integrations with Microsoft 365 apps. And the next thing I want to show you is if the templates are not doing it for you, let us see. To enable this feature, oh, I'm not going to be able to show it to you. I'm sorry, is the Copilot. I had that a few slides back where you can type in what you want the flow to look like, and it'll balance out those pieces for you. Let me see if I can just trick it here. No. So what you may see on your screen, if you check this out, your mileage may vary a little bit, is if you go to create a Power Automate flow, you may just get a Copilot text box. And in that Copilot text box, you can prompt the system for, when I receive an email with an attachment that contains the words invoice, forward that to the finance department, save a copy in the finance department's SharePoint folder, all of those types of things. Again, you do not need to be an expert at business process automation, nor do you need to be super experienced with Power Automate as a canvas for these automated processes. You can get to work right away by talking to, by prompting the tools. So I'm just going to turn into some flows that I already have running. Let's pick something. Let's take a look at this one. And this was an example we had created a little while back where an email arrives in a shared mailbox. Maybe it's finance. We're going to use a particular feature called AI Builder to extract information from those invoices. So, hey, open the PDF and read it. And then post a choice of options as the flowbot to a user. And we can see that is happening in Teams. We have this idea of a condition. If it's true, run this. If it's false, in this case, we're not doing a darn thing here. But what we had set this flow up to do is receive a PDF invoice from one of our vendors, open it up, and take a look at the total dollar value of the invoice. If it was over, let's see if I can expand the condition. If it was over a particular dollar amount, we were flagging it to a manager for approval. And once they approved it, this is again the really sci-fi side of it. We're going to run a flow built with Power Automate Desktop. And again, I had mentioned running macros or running screen control on a device. If you're running Sage or QuickBooks or ACPAC or some legacy accounting application that can't be integrated with and can't be automated on its own, we can use a product called Power Automate Desktop to move the mouse around, click into fields, input data that we are capturing back here in previous steps, and again, automate the interaction with software, filling out a form on a website. I've even automated ordering pizza a time or two as an inter-office joke. So that is all, again, certainly possible whether you want to explore on your own as a citizen developer or leverage a partner like Clear Concepts. There is no shortage of tutorial information and training available from Microsoft here as well. So that is office.com. Log in with your 365 account. You're paying for all this stuff anyways. Go and take a look under Power Automate. So let's go from crawl now to walk. Let's get up and start to move a little bit quicker. And I want to show you in the same sort of power realm, the tools that you're getting from Microsoft 365. There's another application called Power Apps. And in particular, Power Apps has this subsection here called the AI Hub, where you can bring AI into not only these sort of point apps for your business, copilots and chatbots, which I'll show you in just a couple of minutes, but you can bring AI into those workflows. And I'll show you the AI models that Microsoft gives us out of the box. There's a lot of compelling things here to give you a good sense of what you can do. And that is, again, in the previous example, extracting information from documents, invoices, receipts, hopefully not like late parking tickets or something like that, but if you want to, sure. Extracting information from invoices is here. Doing computer vision and extracting text from photos. Maybe it's a picture of a shipping container and they all have, specific numbers and weights and call signs and the like. Could be license plates and those types of things. Could be some industrial process in your business as well. If you want to get numbers and letters, text out of those photos to run a workflow. And again, bringing conditions to that, bringing conditional logic to those types of workflows. Text recognition, no problemo here in the Power Apps and Power Automate world. Predicting future outcomes based on historical data, doing sentiment analysis, classifying customer feedback. Again, that could be tweets, that could be emails, that could be your CSAT model. However you want to work with some of these different types of information, structured or not, we've got predefined models here. So I'm just going to pick on the invoice one, just to show you that how this all gets built behind the scenes. And again, you can toy away with this. There's great trials here. Basically, all we need to do is teach the system what an invoice looks like. Here's one example. It's really crooked. Looks like it came off an old dot matrix printer. Here's another one, slightly different language. Maybe it's coming from an international vendor. Here's a third one. But you can see, and my apologies if it's small on your screen, is these fields highlighted by green boxes. That's the AI saying, I think this is a product number or a product description. I'm pretty sure this is a quantity down here. I'm pretty sure this is the vendor because I guess 99% of the time vendors put their name in the top right by the word invoice, or top left by the word invoice and the like. We've got address information that it picked up. We've got an invoice number. We've got maybe a PO date or a PO number. And then we've got all of the financials, the totals, the subtotals, the taxes and the like. So again, you can see we didn't have the need for a human to open the mail, open the email, open the attachment, look at the invoice and say, the invoice total here, $837. Well, we need to flag that to someone. We can do that with AI and Power Automate, which is already included in Microsoft 365. So let AI be your eyes. for you. And again, take the burden of dealing with vendor invoices and PO numbers and receipts and expense procedures. Let's take the burden off of that, again, as one example where you can put together AI and automation to create a solution. Okay. Let's start to run now a little bit. And the reason I categorize this example as sort of running with AI and automation is we're venturing into copilots. We're venturing into these chatbot and generative AI tools where maybe a little more heavy on AI and a little less on focus on automation. Microsoft has recently renamed what they used to call Power Virtual Agents as the Microsoft Copilot Studio. And again, as I mentioned, copilots are these little point applications where we can interact with things, whether they're internal, saving us time, or saving our customers time. Here's an example and sort of a trial you can have at it by yourselves is training a chatbot on your company's website. So we can do something simple like, what are your hours? This chatbot in Copilot Studio has already been trained against the Clear Concepts website. And you can see here that I didn't have to write a single line of code. I didn't have to do anything. Just interacting with the Copilot Studio and the Clear Concepts website, it's inferring our support hours from 8 to 5 Central. Okay. Copilot Studio does a whole lot more. Again, you can design custom copilots, whether they're trained on a document sitting in your OneDrive or SharePoint, whether they're tied to your CRM, manufacturing, or ERP data. There's a lot to do with copilots, and I know I'm not doing it very good justice here, but again, the basics of these tools are all included in your Microsoft 365 platform. You can tie together sources like Teams and Outlook. You can bring in data that's in SharePoint and OneDrive, even files that are on your server, if you're so inclined, or files that are in Azure or other applications as well. We've got the building blocks here to put that all together. All the way up to likely maybe a more extreme example. I'll just give you a quick demonstration of something that we have been working on here. Bear with me. Which is a copilot for our customers at Clear Concepts. And that is sort of our interpretation of a copilot is, well, people ask us for IT support all the time. Can we give them a copilot to talk to ahead of time, sort of to triage those IT needs? Now, bear with me here, as it's going to be shy, but we can. Oh, golly. I see the demo gods are not going to be creative to me today. Okay, sorry about that, folks, but we do have a Copilot that we've put together for our customers that allows interaction with GTP and generative AI for, I don't know how to share a file in OneDrive. I'm having trouble with the hard drive on my computer. It's full. My laptop's running really low. I can't find a printer, those types of questions. Again, we've trained that against our company model and our company data. And again, we can provide very, very useful triage and support to users using AI in that chatbot natural language interface. Okay. So just looking at the clock and being mindful of time here, just a few things to conclude. Again, took you through that crawl, walk, run methodology that we employ. Again, as you look in your business on ways to employ automation and AI, crawling is all about building awareness, making sure your staff is comfortable using these AI tools, not overly intimidated by some of these realities of AI. So things like Meeting Recap, Bing Chat Enterprise, or Copilot, these are great ways to get into AI. Approvals in Microsoft Teams, as I showed you, using Power Automate for quick business automations. We aim to save users 3 or 4 or 5 minutes per interaction. That's a great way to get started. Okay. When we are up and walking, this is maybe your team receives some AI training. Maybe you go through some prompt engineering lessons. Maybe you have created your internal AI policy on what apps are allowed and what AI tools are not allowed due to privacy and data concerns. And again, when we think about automation, maybe we're starting to use conditions in our automation, looking at external triggers like social media or other integrations with other software. And again, we're starting to approach those flows with deeper app integrations. And here again, now we're looking at saving entire teams of people 10 to 15 minutes per interaction, even per day. I think that's a pretty good time savings when you roll it all up. And then running, when we start to run, really hit the peak with automation and AI, that gives us time to clean up your data and create those internal copilots. And my apologies that my demo was so bashful that we didn't get a chance to talk with IT tickets and ask for help with our printer. And again, we bring to bear machine learning, sci-fi sounding things like desktop control, but at that level, we really are saving our entire organization lots and lots of time. And if we were going to put these tools to work for folks outside of our business, we are saving our customers, our partners, our vendors, patients, students, and the like, the communities that we serve with our businesses, we are saving them time working with us as well. Okay. If you are AI curious, if you're struggling with paper-based processes, if you're stuck re-entering data multiple times, again, if you're swamped with tons of email, who isn't these days? If your team or yourself is missing tasks that could be automated, again, yes, we're putting it in a calendar, but it's still easy to ignore or miss those reminders. Or if your customers are demanding those new sort of digital experiences, it may be time for your business to look a little bit deeper into automation and AI. If you're asking yourselves, we need to migrate to the cloud. Do we need to migrate to the cloud? If you hear amongst your team, hey, we need Copilot training. We need to evaluate our cybersecurity plans. We need a custom AI model. I'd love to put AI to work on our CRM, manufacturing, or ERP data. If you're not quite sure which data in your business is most valuable, or if you're looking to get ahead of this AI wave, again, look no further than Clear Concepts. So without sounding too much like a sales pitch, just to wrap things up, we do have an approach here at Clear Concepts that does take us through all of the steps to AI. Really, that prize is digital transformation to get to that AI reality, whether it's moving organizations to the cloud, getting rid of on-premise servers and networking gear, whether that's ensuring your data is safe by adopting a zero trust security model, whether that's looking at modern work in Microsoft 365, maybe some training to know everything you can do with Teams, doing data analysis, moving your phone system to Microsoft Teams, all the way up to our more contemporary offerings and more modern offerings, Copilot training, AI policy consultations, all the way up to custom Copilot development, whether that's a web app, a phone app, a Teams app, something that sits in Windows or Slack or the like. Again, we've got the facilities to build those solutions for you. And last humble brag here is if you're hungry for more on AI specifically, my colleague Kyle, I think it looks like he's been helping away in the chat there. We do a podcast. We do our best to get episodes out every week, and that is AI for SMB. Again, made right here in Winnipeg. Have a listen. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. And again, we're taking AI, which is such a quickly evolving topic, such a high-end topic, but our mantra really is to bring it down to the SMB world for those of us. And on that note, questions, comments, you can get to us at clearconcepts.ca. /AI is our AI landing page. If there's anything there you'd like to key in on, 866-943-4777 is the phone number. Otherwise, Kyle and I will kick around for a few minutes if there are any questions. And again, thank you so much for your time. And thanks to the World Trade Center Winnipeg team for this opportunity.
Awesome, Ryan. All right, so if you guys want to unmute, put your cameras on, or throw in a couple questions in the chat, we'll stick around for the next maybe 3 to 5 minutes here to answer some of the questions here. Ryan, I guess I'll kick it off with one question here.
Okay.
I guess my question is like I know this AI is to automate, I guess, workflow and be more efficient. From just your expertise from using this program, what's the impact of AI on Microsoft 365 for future development? Like, where do you think they're going with this? Like, is it to automate workflow or is it like to facilitate or make it easier for the workers to be more efficient, quicker? Like where do you think they're going with this?
If all of the above is an answer, I'll choose all of the above. Again, it's going to come down to productivity. That's that prize that Microsoft has made their mission to make us all more productive. And I think they're doing so in two ways. Specifically inside of Microsoft 365, you're going to see copilots that will help you interact with the software, whether it's something more modern like Teams or some stalwarts, Word, Excel, PowerPoint that have been out there for, 25 plus years. It's going to help us interact with those capabilities in new ways. So there's absolutely a productivity and time saving side to this. There's also a discovery slash inspiration side of it where if a feature is too obscure, too complicated, they'll probably find a way to automate it and bring it into that Copilot experience where instead of putting in the slog to create something, you could just talk to these tools instead. So even the humblest of apps, Microsoft Paint, right? Microsoft Paint has not changed in it feels like 150 years, but they're putting Copilot in Paint. They're putting Copilot in Windows. There's Copilot in Designer and Clipchamp for videos. So what you're going to see over the next few years is just the proliferation of just those little copilots. Think of them like little sidebars in the apps that you use day in and day out, and they're there to be assistive, collaborative, inspirational, or to help you discover a feature or automate a feature that you may not otherwise be using.